ladies and gentlemen. The night had begun with a cruel twist of fate for Isabella, a woman everyone in the city admired for her power, elegance, and wealth. Her friends often said she was untouchable, a diamond set so high on its pedestal that no man dared to reach for her unless they carried a similar shine. But the truth was far different. Behind her sharp suits, expensive perfume, and lavish home, Isabella was lonely. Her heart was a quiet, empty room that no amount of money or recognition could fill. That evening she had agreed to one more blind date, even though the last 10 had been disasters. Each man had sat across from her with polished smiles and even more polished resumes, speaking about stocks, investments, and deals as if love was something that could be traded like shares. Tonight, though, she had promised herself, if this one didn't work, she would stop looking. She would retreat into her empire and live with the silence of her own company. She arrived at the restaurant early, her hair in perfect waves, her emerald dress catching the dim golden light. But the minutes stretched long and the man she was supposed to meet never showed. Her phone buzzed with a cruel text. "Sorry, something came up." Not interested. She put the phone down, her throat tightening, her hands trembling slightly. The waiter approached, apologizing with kind eyes, but she waved him off. She didn't want pity. She stepped outside, the night air cool against her skin. Her driver had left briefly to get gas, and there she was, stranded in her heels on a dim city street, holding back the sting in her eyes. Just as she began to walk, her heels snapped against the uneven pavement, sending her stumbling. Her heart pounded, frustration boiling over, and then she heard a voice. "You okay there, miss?" She looked up. A man stood by the entrance of a small, greasy mechanic shop, wiping oil from his hands with an old rag. His shirt was worn, his jeans stained, and his eyes, deep, gentle, unexpectedly kind, studied her with genuine concern. "I'm fine," she said quickly, trying to mask her embarrassment. But he stepped forward, picking up the broken heel piece that had fallen to the ground. "Doesn't look fine," he said softly, handing it to her. "Looks like you had a rough night." Something in his tone made her pause. It wasn't condescending. It wasn't mocking, it was understanding. "I just had a bad date," she admitted, surprising even herself. She didn't know why she was telling him this. Maybe because his eyes didn't judge. He smiled, faint but real. "Blind dates, huh? Dangerous sport." He tilted his head toward the garage. "Come on, sit. I'll fix that shoe for you." Her instinct was to refuse. She never accepted help from strangers. But something about the way he said it, simple and warm, made her follow. She sat on a small bench near the open garage while he crouched down with careful hands, using tools meant for cars to mend her delicate heel. She watched, mesmerized at the gentleness of a man whose world was built on grease and steel. "Why would you help me?" she asked quietly. He looked up, his eyes locking with hers. "Because you needed it." "That's enough reason, isn't it?" For a moment, silence hung between them. In that silence, she felt more seen than she had in years. Just then, a small voice echoed from inside the garage. "Daddy, is it fixed?" Isabella blinked. A little girl no older than 6 came running out, her hair in pigtails, her pajamas a little too big. She looked at Isabella with wide, curious eyes. "Almost, sweetheart," the man said, smiling at his daughter before turning back to Isabella. "Sorry, didn't expect company." Isabella's chest tightened. He was a single dad. The little girl climbed onto her father's lap, watching him work with fascination. And Isabella, for the first time in years, felt her cold heart thawing just a little. "What's your name?" Isabella asked the little one. "Lily?" The girl beamed, then whispered loudly. "You're very pretty. Daddy, is she a princess?" Isabella's breath caught in her throat, tears threatening to rise. No one had ever looked at her that way. Not as a deal to be made, not as a name in the news, but as something magical. The father chuckled, shaking his head. "No, Lily, she's just someone who had a tough night." Then he glanced at Isabella and his voice softened. "But maybe she's stronger than a princess." When he handed her the mended shoe, Isabella's fingers brushed his. Something electric passed between them, unexpected, undeniable. She wanted to thank him, to say something meaningful, but all that left her lips was a whisper. "Who are you?" He smiled gently, lifting his daughter into his arms. "Just a mechanic. Just a dad." But Isabella knew deep in her heart that this night was not just a broken date or a broken shoe. It was the start of something else, something she couldn't yet name, but something that could change everything. As she slipped her shoe back on and watched him carry his daughter back inside, Isabella felt a strange ache in her chest. She had come looking for love in the glittering world of millionaires and ballrooms, but maybe, just maybe, it had been waiting for her all along, in the hands of a mechanic single dad who fixed more than just her broken heel. And as she turned to leave, her heart whispered the question she was too afraid to ask: what if this was fate?